congratulate the Honorable Pio Wandai for taking leadership to bring the issue of the cost of living out of the streets into the house where we can resolve these issues. And I want to encourage you, my brother, go beyond this motion. If you have better ideas on taxation, bring them on when the tax bill comes. We will support you as we urge you to support our tax reduction measures that will revive the stalled economy, Honorable Speaker, that had stalled. Honorable Speaker, it is also true that indeed we have been borrowing to...
Order, Leader of Majority. Honorable Pio Wandai, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, it's not my wish to interrupt my friend, Honorable Ichung'wah. But is it really in order for the Honorable Ichung'wah to demonize street action, whilst he knows clearly that it is through street action that we got the freedoms and rights that we enjoy currently, including talking aimlessly?
Order, members.
Madam Speaker.
Order, members. We are now in the August House. What happens outside there is not the business of this House. Please continue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I want to tell my brother, I am not demonizing street action. I am demonizing violence. I am demonizing anarchy. I am demonizing looting of morgues. I am demonizing looting of supermarkets. And I want to encourage you that as much as we are saying, yes, we are in a problem, Honorable Speaker, we shall not fix this problem by pretending that we can borrow to pay salaries and cater for our current expenditure. By pretending that we can borrow from Peter to pay Paul. We must live within our means, Honorable Speaker, and allow this government to act in a prudent and responsible manner in managing the economy. I heard the Honorable Mbadi asking about principal shareholding, Honorable Speaker, and I want to tell the Honorable Mbadi, Honorable Speaker, what we are saying that if you are a major shareholder, you steady the ship to make sure that that ship does not sink. My brother, our brothers, help us to steady the ship. Don't sink this ship with violence, with anarchy, with disrupting the economy. If we are to regain on the revenue losses, we can only do that when the ship is steady, when the economy is moving, not when every Monday, every Sunday, every Thursday, we are disrupting the same economy. And I want to encourage you, my brother, Honorable Pio Wandai, please, when the time comes at the right time, bring better ideas. We are willing and ready to listen to you. But we are not ready to be blackmailed, to take over the failed policies of subsidizing corruption-ridden consumption subsidies that fed the monster of corruption in this country. That we are not ready to. We shall not feed the monster.
Thank you, Leader of Majority. Member for Mombasa, Honorable Zamzam Chimba.
Asante sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na ningependa kumwelezea Majority Leader, tuliza boli. Wakenya kule nje wanahangaika, hali ya uchumi iko mbaya. Na mimi napenda kumpongeza kiongozi wa wachache, Bwana Wandai, kwa kuleta mjadala huu. Ni dhahiri shairi kuwa Wakenya wanahangaika. Na hata kama leo mnasema kuwa yale maandamano yalifanya uchumi kawa mbaya, hiyo ni message kwenu kuwa Wakenya wamechoka. Hiyo ni message. Ikiwa hao ndo walipa ushuru na mpaka leo wafanyikazi wanakosa mshahara, wabunge tunakaa mwezi bila kulipwa mshahara, ni dhahiri shairi kuwa wale wengi wanaongea kutoka kwa mifuko yao. Kwa hiyo mimi napenda kusema hivi, hali ya uchumi imekuwa mbaya, na Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wakati ambapo mjadala wa dharura uletwa kwenye chumba na ikajadiliwa. Yale mambo ya kusema kuwa tupeleke huku na huku itakuwa si sawa. Wakenya wanahangaika, na mimi napenda kuelezea kuwa kuenda katika maandamano ama kuzungumza katika bunge, yote mawili yamekubalika katika katiba. Na wale ambao wanazungumza wakisema kuwa Azimio sijui walienda maandamano watu wakafa, waloua hawa watu ni polisi ambao wako kwenye serikali. Na serikali nyingi hata South Africa. Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba ulinzi, manake nimewapa nafasi nyinyi mkazungumza yenu. South Africa wameenda maandamano, hakukuwa na umwagikaji wa damu. Kwa nini iwe
Member for Mombasa, order. Honorable Pukose, what is your point of order?
Mheshimiwa Spika, nasimama kwa hoja nambari 91 ya nidhamu kwamba Mheshimiwa Samsam lazima apeane ile tunasema ukweli ya mambo, kwa sababu anapoongea kitu cha kwanza amesema kwamba wajumbe hawajakula mshahara kwa zaidi ya mwezi moja, na mimi najua wiki iliyopita Alhamisi nililipwa kama mjumbe. Sijui yeye hakulipwa ama alilipwa. La pili amesema kwamba wale watu waliokufa katika maandamano waliwawa na polisi. Ningependa yeye athibitishe hilo, Madam Speaker. Asante.
Asante Mheshimiwa Zamzam.
Nataka niendelee.
Tufuate kanuni zetu. Tufuate kanuni zetu. Kama uko na jambo la kusema unadhibitisha kama hilo ambalo umeweza kutoa.
Nafuata kanuni. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Order. Honorable Catherine Omanyo, you will not shout across the aisle. Let us debate in decorum. Honorable Zamzam, please continue.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi, kama yeye pengine hata wafanyikazi wa ofisi mimi wangu toka February bado hawajalipwa mpaka sasa. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi.
Leader of majority, what is your point of order?
I think, Honorable Speaker, we are a house of rules,
Honorable Zamzam, take your seat.
We are a house of rules, Honorable Speaker. And when a member rises on a point of order, Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable Pukose rose on standing order number 91 and asked the member to substantiate, and she has not substantiated. And Honorable Speaker, I am not raising this just about the Honorable Zamzam. It has become a habit that you say something careless and you do not substantiate, and neither do you withdraw. And I think it's only procedural that if the Honorable Zamzam cannot substantiate that all the people, including the policeman from Nyamira County who was killed in Kisumu by a stone thrown from a ceiling, if that police officer was killed by another policeman, then if she cannot...
There will not be a point of order on another point of order. We are a house of debates and rules, and we have standing orders to follow. Honorable Zamzam,
asante sana,
give
Madam
Honorable
Speaker.
Zamzam a chance to either substantiate those matters or withdraw.
Kwanza mimi nataka wao kwanza waweze kusema, kwa sababu we majority leader ulisema katika handshake ndio pesa zilibadhiriwa. Mimi nataka niwaulize, Raila alikuwa anacheza role gani kwenye kuchukua pesa, kwenye kukopa pesa? Mje mtueleze hapa. Na mimi nataka kusema hivi, mshahara wangu mimi juzi tarehe 8 ndio mimi nimeona. Watu walipwa tarehe 8? Mshahara ulichelewa, tuambizane ukweli. Na hata saizi wafanyikazi kule mashinani, wafanyikazi wa serikali hawajalipwa. Tuache kuficha uchi. Mficha uchi hazai. Mficha uchi hazai, Bwana Speaker.
Order. Mheshimiwa Zamzam, nimekusikiza kwa makini. Nafikiri ni vizuri useme vilivyo. Kama ulisema mshahara imechelewa, hilo ni sawa, lakini haijachelewa zaidi ya mwezi mmoja. Ni vizuri tuweke mambo vile ilivyo. Tafadhali tufuate kanuni zetu na tutoe mambo ambayo ni ya ukweli na ambayo inaweza kudhibitishwa kwenye bunge.
Asante Speaker. Mshahara ulichelewa na wafanyikazi wa county mpaka sasa pia ni wa serikali na wengi hawajalipwa. Tusiseme sisi wabunge pekee yetu, Kenya iko katika hali tata sana. Na mimi ningependa pia kuelezea wenzangu, tuangalie tuchuje maneno kule nje tunayozungumza, ama tutaweka Kenya kwenye moto mkubwa sana. Mambo kutulizwa yatulizwe. Sisi hatukuelezea viongozi wetu waweze kukutana waongee. Waliamua wenyewe, tuwape heshima, wakae chini wazungumze, tuache kurusha maneno ovyo ovyo huko nje. Na leader of majority
Order, members, your time is up. Order. We will now hear the MP for Manyata, Honorable Gitonga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would really kindly request Honorable Speaker to call the House to order.
Order, order, leader of majority. Order, order members. Order members. Order members. Order Honorable Kagombe. Honorable Kagombe, resume your seat. Honorable Kamene, Honorable Zamzam, Honorable Atandi, let us maintain decorum. Leader of majority, please do not bother those ladies. Just leave them alone. We will now hear the member for Manyata. Let us maintain decorum. Honorable member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, I would like to say that we are not doing this motion service because, Honorable Speaker, this is a very serious motion and Kenyans are watching. I would like to say that, Honorable Speaker, yes, it is true that there is a challenge with our economy today. And, Honorable Speaker, I've been going through the mathematics of what KRA is talking about when it comes to collection. And it is obvious, Honorable Speaker, when salaries are paid by government, we have to collect taxes. And, Honorable Speaker, the collection of tax, especially income tax, is something that is done 1 year after the company and individuals have made money. Honorable Speaker, looking at the collection of tax for this first 6 months since the government was in place, KRA has been able to collect 768 billion Kenya shillings in 5 months. That is short of their target of 818 billion, Honorable Speaker. The shortfall is because many companies and many institutions have not been making profit, simply because of many reasons that all of us, and especially our finance chair, has clearly indicated. But, Honorable Speaker, I would like to call upon us as this House. I am very keen to hear ideas, and better ideas for that matter, that can help this country be able to achieve its target in terms of tax collection. And it is true, we have to face the reality that there is a challenge and the cost of living is high. But it is not right for opposition members to come out and try to show like this country is closing down. We have a government that is in place and that has strategy to ensure that we get somewhere. This problem has accumulated for a number of years, and many of the speakers have said that. But I am happy to hear His Excellency the President calling it like it is. Many people would like to be lied to, that things are better. But it is true that we need to tighten our belts. And, Honorable Speaker, I would like the opposition to lead by example. Let them even form what we call shadow cabinet ministers, so that we can have them having good ideas that are better than ours.
Order, members. Member from Thiwa, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I respect the Speaker, but is it in order to refer to this bench, this side, as opposition when we really know for clarity that we have presidential system? You are supposed to oversight the government. So can he be educated on that there's no opposition politics on this? Thank you.
Honorable John Gitonga, the minority side. There can only be the minority side in this House.
Honorable Speaker, and that's why I'm saying we are really not doing this motion a service. Because what is the main difference between minority and opposition? It's the same thing. They oppose everything that we say. And that's why I'm calling them opposition members, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am very keen to actually have everybody on board when it comes to this issue. And I'm happy that we are having bipartisan talks that can, if they are taken serious by the opposition, they can actually bring something that they have themselves contributed and be able to bring some things better. But we need to tell the Kenyans the truth, that as far as the issue of the cost of living, we have to tighten our belts. Let's not continue digging a hole of debt.
Your time is up. The Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Owen Baya.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and I also want to thank the Honorable Pio Wandai for bringing this motion. But Honorable Wandai should have thought also about that taxes, revenue, when well paid, actually bring down the cost of living. But then we know people in this country who have refused to pay taxes, who always want to look the other way, who have big farms, big properties that they're not using for anything for production, and yet they don't want to pay taxes for those. The people who sponsor the mandamanos that we have. Honorable Speaker, this is when we need to face the real facts. Why is this country in the hole that it is in? It is in the hole that is in because some people have refused to pay taxes.
Honorable Opio Wandai.
Madam Speaker, we need decorum in this House. What has my motion got to do with
taxes?
People who are evading taxes?
Of course.
And yet, what has my motion to do with people who are demonstrating?
Of course.
Whilst exercising their right under Article 37 of the Constitution.
Thank you. Thank you.
And more importantly, Madam Speaker,
thank you.
Can you compel the Honorable Owen Baya?
I will substantiate.
To name the person who is financing the Mandamanus?
I will substantiate.
Here and now.
I will substantiate.
Otherwise, withdraws and apologizes.
I will.
Thank you.
That if revenue is not paid, salaries will not be there. If revenue is not paid, we will not be able to give farmers production subsidies. If revenue is not there, this country will not meet its targets. It will not pay the heavy debts that the handshake regime brought into this country, the revenue. And I want to say that it is on record, and there is even an act of parliament here that says that certain families be prevented from, recused from paying taxes. It is in this House. And it is those things that have put this country in a hole. And this government, what we are saying is we want to finance this government, the operations of this government, through local revenue. And local revenue will come from the big farms. Local revenue will come from those people who have for many years evaded to pay taxes because they're in power. We are saying this government will fix this economy using local revenue. Secondly, Madam Speaker, we know this country is in debt. If you ask the CS for Finance today, he will tell you that we have the first charge on government is to pay debt. Today, we must pay the debts which were taken to pay Helios. Today, we must pay the debts that were taken to pay for KEMSA. Today, we must get money to ensure that we pay for the things that were taken. We saw the budget here, and we saw that this government lost a lot of money. Where will the government pay for these international debts? It is the first charge on the budget. The first charge on the budget means first we have to pay debts before we start thinking of paying salaries. And that is what economics is about government. So today, if someone here says we have not been paid salary, you should ask those people who took those many loans, those big loans, how were they expecting them to be paid first? Secondly, including subsidies. Subsidies were paid, but the people who were supposed to have been paid never received the money. And those are facts. Today, we are paying debts. If you ask the finance minister, he will tell you the first charge on budget is to pay international obligations.
So when international obligations are paid, you make noise. Why do you make noise? And Opio and I, the Honorable Opio and I, the honorable leader of minority, was here defending the handshake regime. Today you come here and say, you know, cost of living, Madam Speaker, will continue to skyrocket. I want to hear his point of order.
Actually, the point of order was raised by Honorable Mbowe. Honorable Robert Mbowe.
Mbowe, he's my equal. He's my equal. You wait.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Sit down.
Madam Speaker, I've listened very keenly to the deputy leader of the majority, and he keeps referring to the handshake regime. Madam Speaker, the last regime, as far as all of us know, and the records are there, was a Jubilee regime, led by Uhuru Kenyatta, deputized by William Samoei Ruto, which is this handshake regime that ran this country.
I will substantiate.
There was a cabinet. Raila was not part of it.
I will substantiate.
Why do you keep saying, why do you keep putting us part
I will
of it?
substantiate.
Order, members. You cannot have two members on their feet. When you have a point of order,
thank you.
You sit.
But my mic is still on.
Yes.
Can I substantiate?
Honorable
Honorable Speaker, the chairperson of the Finance and Planning Committee in this parliament, the person who brought the finance bill in this parliament, was none other than the Honorable Governor Gladys Wanga. She belonged to the ODM. All the money collected was brought in by one person who was a member who was in the ODM. That is the handshake. Finance Committee, led now by the Honorable Kuria here, will show you how to do things. And that is how we are going to bring the cost of living in this country down. So I want to say this. When I see Rosa Buyu here, she makes me want to speak more. So I want to say this. Honorable Speaker, hard decisions must be taken. Hard decisions must be taken. And these hard decisions...
What is your point of order, Honorable Opio and I?
Opio and I, please add me 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker,
2 minutes.
I really plead with you to ensure that this House maintains decorum. Madam Speaker, even though I may understand the obsession that my good friend Owen Bayer has with the so-called past regime, we must not misrepresent facts. He has just been on record that I was here in the last parliament defending the so-called handshake regime. Madam Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth. Madam Speaker, in the last parliament, which I served, and Madam Speaker, you know I've got a stellar record in this House. I was the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee.
Do not be tempted to debate, Honorable Opio.
For 5 years, Madam Speaker. This is important, Madam Speaker. I was the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, oversighting the accounts of the executive. Madam Speaker.
Order, members. Please don't use point of orders to debate. That is one. Please take your seats. Both of you, take your seats. Honorable Rosa Buyu, you have just walked in. We are not shouting. We are maintaining decorum in this House. Honorable Owen Bayer, you have a few seconds remaining. Standing Order 33 does not allow any extra minutes. It is 5 minutes for every member, and there is no point of order on a point of order. Please, Honorable Owen Bayer.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I would like to state this. Without subsidies, the cost of unga is now coming down. Without subsidies, the dollar is coming down. Without subsidies, the cost of living is coming down gradually. We shall get there, Madam Speaker. This government led by William Ruto will get things down.
What is your point of order, Honorable Pukose?
Please add me my seconds.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Opio Andaye has just claimed that he had a stellar record in this House. This House records will show that
Honorable Pukose, you are out of order. Honorable Opio Andaye has already taken his seat. Honorable Owen Bayer is on his feet.
Madam Speaker, without much ado, this government has secured fuel fuel purchase agreement that will use the Kenya shillings, not the dollar. We are de-dollarizing this economy. This government has a plan that will change things. And Kenyans need to have hope, and we want to give them hope that the government of William Samoei Ruto will bring the cost of living down within.
Other members, Member Honorable CNN, Ngusia.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I've been waiting for long. Thank you very much. Let me begin by saying, success of this government is success for all of us Kenyans. That is true. I am happy the government has acknowledged that every Kenyan across the divide is suffering because of high cost of living. Madam Speaker, I'm not here to apportion blame to anybody. We need to find solutions, and I am here to give the following solutions. Because the leader of majority has encouraged us to give the government on measures we can do to fix this country socially, economically, and politically. Number one, the government itself, it's eating itself by roadside declarations. Every time the CS opens a mouth, or rather the Deputy President opens a mouth, he will always say things that we cannot actually do, and that is eroding investors' confidence in this country. Number two, stop bloated executive. Bloated executive. 50 CSs will not sort out this problem. We need less than actually 20 of them because they are constitutionally not empowered to do anything, or rather to add anything economically. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, sorry. Stop unnecessary travel expenditures we have been witnessing of late. And we are claiming we don't have money to pay salaries. The other issue, introduce tax incentives to our investors coming to this country. Madam Speaker, we should never, and we should not even tolerate one day to delay even salaries for civil servants, one day, because these civil servants have got mortgages, they have got loans to pay. If we are doing so, we are going to erode what we call institutions' confidence to give our civil servants loans and this kind of mortgages, Madam Speaker. So we are here, the government, actually the last thing should do is to tell us, brace yourself for tough measures, for tough times. Give us solution on how we are going to pay salaries timely, Madam Speaker. With those few remarks, I want to say, let us fix our economy, but while giving the Kenya Kwanza time to do this, we also need to come and reason together. And one of the things which have really actually caused mess in this country is these demonstrations. We need to agree on the ideas we have given. One, open server. We fix the country politically. Number two, open the server. We know the political truth about it. Yes. Number two, let us stop chesithabing. Listen to all the leaders, because you cannot ignore 6.9 million voters compared to 7.1. And by doing so, we want success for this government, and success, and I'm praying Kenya Kwanza to succeed in matters of handling the economic affairs of this country. And with those few remarks, if we go through this way, we are going to fix Kenya socially, economically, and politically. Thank you.
Member for Kericho, Honorable Beatrice Kemei. If you're not willing to speak to this, we'll give the member for Sotik, Honorable Francis Sigei.
She is ready to speak.
I'm ready, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate first the debate that we have today concerning the economy of this country. And to start with, Madam Speaker, I want to tell the members that this economy, it is the responsibility of all of us to make sure that the economy improves. And for this to happen, Madam Speaker, I would request that those who have not paid their taxes should be in a position to pay, because that is the only way we can have revenue, and that is the only way salaries can be paid. Madam Speaker, this is not actually the first time salaries have delayed, and those who are saying it has delayed for a month, it is not true, Madam Speaker. And our people understand. It is us who should be able to explain to them, because we need the economy to improve. Paying actually our debts is the responsibility of the government, and I wonder why the minority team is making noise, yet when we talked of the last regime, during that time, Madam Speaker, the handshake is what actually caused the cost of living to go up. And today, I must confess that the economy will definitely improve when all of us come together, pay our taxes, and then, Madam Speaker, I would also say that when we talk about the UNGA issue, people have gone to the farms, they have planted, and I believe come the next few months, we will have enough food in the store for ourselves, and even surplus to sell, Madam Speaker. And I know that is when our economy will actually improve. So I want to support that motion by telling my dear brother, the leader of minority, that things will improve. Just be silent, just watch, and just support, and know that this government need all of us. They need our support. And what I can also say is that there are so many other ways we can help our people. Madam Speaker, back home, there are people who have not planted. I wonder how many of us can go outside, can go an extra mile and help our people, support them. We have so many who are not in a position even to buy the seeds or the maize seeds. We even have those who cannot afford to buy the subsidized fertilizers. And members of this house, I request that we support our people back in the village, and once we support them, I know they will have something on the table, and next time we will be able to have our things improve. So once more, Madam Speaker, I say that the economy, given time, it will definitely improve. And I would also pray that as we discuss all this, let's not take it personal. At the same time, I would want to ask our members to ask themselves, what is our plan for the next few months? What is the plan of all of us? Because if we actually discuss and then we are not giving our way forward, then we are missing the link. But paying international debts is very, very important. We wouldn't want to dig more holes. We cannot borrow to pay salaries, we cannot borrow to pay debts. It is better to pay the debts that are international. And within no time, I know things will improve. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you. I had already called Honorable Francis Igay to make your...
Madam Speaker, I think, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very important motion. And I would like to thank my friend Opio and I for bringing this motion. Madam Speaker, this motion is actually giving us an opportunity, which the President told us today, that we must bring issues which can assist this country to bring the cost of living down. And Mr. Opio and I, thank you very much. I would like you to go further and tell us how you would like this government to bring the cost of living down, because we want suggestions so that we can move forward. Number two, Madam Speaker, I would like to ask for candid discussion on issues affecting this country. And Madam Speaker,
Honorable Opio Wandai, what's your point of order?
Madam Speaker, you know, I was keenly listening to my good friend, Honorable Sigei. You know, he's a former PC, a very respectable personality in our country. He asked me to give suggestions on how we can go about improving the situation. You know, I'm very glad and willing, Madam Speaker, if you give me just 2 minutes to explain.
Honorable Wandai, you know that is not possible. You have already prosecuted the moving of this motion. Please give Honorable Sigei the chance to finish.
I want to be saved from my friend here because he's trying to harass me. Madam Speaker, I think what we should ask ourselves is what are we doing as members of parliament? The other day, Madam Speaker, we saw the president in Sugoi driving a tractor and going to produce maize. So what are we doing as members of parliament? The other day, last week, I was in Sotik, and I was urging my people to plant maize so that those who are demonstrating can be able to be sold the maize we are doing in Sotik. And they have done very well. In fact, the problem I had in Sotik was about fertilizers. We ran short of fertilizers. I can assure you, Madam Speaker, that from Sotik, you will get maize at a very low price. And therefore, we will now bring the cost of living down. Madam Speaker, we have been told that the president and this government is actually bringing in measures to look at the taxation regime so that people can be assisted. There are necessary taxes in this country, and I'm very sure we are going to see many things. I think it is patience we require from our friends from the opposition, and we must work together. And Madam Speaker, I would like to urge ourselves as members of parliament to stop shouting at each other. I think we must stop. We must now discuss with sanity and stop shouting at somebody who is trying to bring in some constructive issues. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to stand here and support the president. The president and this government has a plan. And the only thing to do is support constructively. If you have issues, let us bring it to Parliament. And Madam Speaker, I want to say that I'm a very proud man today, that we stopped the demonstration with the other people from the other side, and now we are discussing issues. And I would like us to now come to Parliament and bring even these other issues which we have discussed and which you brought, and we now have people, our committee members, who are going to discuss issues. Madam Speaker, this country belongs to all of us. And I would like to see some serious discussion here on how we can make this country grow. Madam Speaker, I support this motion, and I would like everybody to support this motion so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank my minority leader for bringing this motion to the floor of the House. And Honorable Speaker, if the majority leader would have been here, I would have first of all reminded him that the majority leader, that the difference between the current regime and current government is the spelling. Yes. So it is not right when he tells us that those are two different things. Honorable Speaker, I just want to paint the picture because we are treating this matter in a very casual approach, and yet our country is going through a very dire situation. Our current, if you look at the debt service expense for the previous financial year, it stood at 6.8 billion. Right now, we are looking at the month of February 2023, and it's already at 10.4 billion. That's number one. Number two, KRA, Honorable Speaker, protect me from the people who are speaking from across the aisle. KRA has missed its target for the last 6 months. Honorable Speaker, the government wage bill which stands at 335.3 billion. 210 billion of this is only what has been paid. And Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that right now we are in a space where...
Order. What's your point of order, Honorable Owen?
Honorable Speaker, it's very nice to use statistics, but it's also important for you to disclose source of statistics, so that as you discuss your statistics, they are either factual or they are created. I would like the statistics to be pegged on a source, so that is it the Kenya Bureau of Statistics report? Is it, what report? Where are these statistics from?
We've had the Honorable Owen. Honorable
thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable.
As you debate, you also adhere to Standing Order 91. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would just like to tell the Honorable Member that these are statistics that are available at just a touch of Google. And as a professional accountant, I cannot stand in front of people and speak of things that I'm not sure of. Honorable Speaker, what I'm trying to say here is that we are treating this matter so casually, and yet at the moment we are operating like we are feeding from hand to mouth, which is a very dangerous situation. Honorable Speaker, this is a government that came into place and promised that they will consider the hustlers. They even went ahead and had a hustler fund in place. Honorable Speaker, some of the amounts that people get from these hustler funds, and I've heard it from even my people from Nyamira, is that they cannot even put that money into a multi-bet and make money out of it. The situation is dire. We are having Kenyans who cannot even afford a meal a day. And I just want to say this, Honorable Speaker, and for me it's a professional advice to this government, because you cannot keep on talking about that you inherited a government that had dire coffers. Mwai Kibaki, when he came into government, he inherited a worse government. But that is one president who, by the time he was leaving, in this country we had unsecured loans that allowed Kenyans to be able to invest further. Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you that right now, Honorable Speaker, right now, there is something called an infrastructure bond. 2 years ago, Kenyans would run to banks to take this up and invest in infrastructure bonds. But right now, central bank is even increasing this to 14.3% because people are not taking this up. And that tells you that we have very dire issues. And so my advice to this government, and I just want to say, and I can see the chairman of finance is here, and I would like for him to listen to me, is that you need to do a SWOT analysis into 5 main issues. Number 1, what are the causes of the economic deterioration in this country? Number 2, what is the impact on citizens that you're having to this country? Number 3, review policy responses that you have in this case. And can you, in fact, go into the debt restructuring and look at anti-corruption issues? Number 4, oversight as Parliament, Finance Department, you need to look at the audit trails in this government. You need to look at the wasteful nature of how people are spending money. And finally, Honorable Speaker, I just want to encourage this government to engage in public participation. Otherwise, from where I sit, I want to start praying for the hustlers every day.
Thank you. Your time is up. Honorable David Gekaria.
Asante sana, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me start by, by saying we appreciate the former leader of minority, Honorable John Bandi. And Honorable John Bandi was he was more professional, and he spoke as a professional. And he accepted facts as they are. Does the current president accept there is a problem in the country? Yes, he's saying there is a problem. And this problem, I have a roadmap on how I'm going to settle it. Honorable Speaker, a few of our leaders, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, gave us a talk sometimes, and he's saying, we found this country in a hole. And they are trying to get us from that hole. but other people are trying to tell us we go back there and dig deeper. The president himself, in his own words, says we were walking towards a cliff. And now we were working on ways to be able, and these ways have already been explained in a very precise and accurate manner by none other than the Chair of Finance, on the procedure and the process that the President and his government have put in place. It is true that most of these things which are being said are there, and it is a fact, yes, they are there. But I think for a country that we need to bring together is for us to agree on the best way forward. Because when the cost of living is high, it is not only high for the supporters of the minority people, it also affects the supporters on the other side. So it is our responsibility as a country, as leaders, to be able to bring these things together. Honorable Pio and I, we appreciate what you've brought today, this evening, for us to be able to sit and deliberate. And I totally agree with you, the minority leader, that yes, there are problems, but as even yourself as a person, if you have a business, and that business is a going concern, as you're saying, then you can only be able to pay your workers out of the profits that you get from your going concern business. But now how then do you want to tell us that this is a going concern company, but you are making losses and you have to go and borrow money to come and meet the recurrent expenditure? It's not possible. So I don't want to labor on the procedure and the way we are supposed, because, Honorable Speaker, the process that was being taken by a few, the minority side or the leader or the other side, it is a way that was taking us back to very dangerous direction. And we kept quiet because we are in government and we have to show leadership. But at the same time, that did not mean that we could also not be able to counter whatever they were doing. But again, as leaders and as people who have been given that responsibility, we have listened to our leaders. And KK has put it very clearly. They want us to continue subsidizing consumption. And it is not sustainable. It is not possible. And we cannot continue that. And the president has made it very clear that he has to go with, as per the law and the constitutionality of this country, to be able either to borrow or to be able to do whatever he's supposed to do as a president, for him to be able to clear the. So, Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that, yes, opposition and the majority leaders indicated to the minority leader, whatever proposal you have positive that can be able to bring some positive changes into the lives of Kenyans, you are welcome to bring it through the finance bill that will be coming soon. And the finance chair has equally admitted that whatever good is there from the other side, he is going to bring it on board and be able to prosecute for the benefit. And I totally agree with the finance chair. We cannot continue increasing taxes, purporting that we are going to, the revenue is going to increase. It is the vice versa. And I like the chair of finance, who is a CPA holder, that he has fact.
Honorable Gekaria, your time is up. Honorable Martin Owino, aka Ward Chief.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my minority leader for bringing this. Honorable Baya, this is a very important motion, and as we speak, Madam Speaker, it's true. Some of Kenyans are going to sleep on empty stomach. Some of students will go to school tomorrow without anything in their stomach. So this is a very important motion to debate on. Number one, I think when you have a problem, talk less, do more. That is very important. And listen also. Like now we are offering some solutions. We had Kazi Mtaani. This used to take money to the youth in the rural areas. reinstate that program. Number two, actually this is better than hiring people who do not need employment, like 50 years, they don't need it. Take that money to mashinani. Number two, it is in the Constitution that we give county governments. We give county government 15%. Why don't we give them immediately we collect our taxes? Because that is where now the hunger really bites the people. Some have not even received their money since October. And this is the money that goes down up to the kiosks, through salaries, through contracts. If we do that, we will save the people. Let's not wait until we think we have the money. No, the Constitution is very clear, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. If you collect 15% should go straight to the county government. Number three, we have an expensive education system, which we are changing every day and perfecting none. The introduction of junior. Some parents have kids in high school. Now you add on to them another uniform, another this and that. They can't. Some kids are being sent home, and you have had some committing suicide, some accidents. These are uncalled for, putting more pressure on parents for no good reason. There is also the issue of food security. Madam Speaker, this is unspeakable. Why should we have gross appetite for importation? Now we have rain coming in large numbers, but we are collecting none. We have a situation that we can't depend on the weather. We have to irrigate our food and become food sufficient. What are we doing there? I understand, Honorable Baya, we do not need Zambian food. Let us grow food here and feed our people. A government, we cannot feed the people, is not a government too. Now, lack of priority setting. You know, if you don't have much, actually, let me say it in another way. Collecting taxes is one way, but using those taxes that you have collected, Chair of Finance, you are leaving, you should collect taxes, yes, get whatever you can get, but have a priority spending so that you can get your priority right. Right now, we are spending on employment, we are spending on cars. In fact, I admire the president of Zambia, who could not sign. I'm not moving there. I'm a Kenyan. He did not sign any voucher for more cars because he had cars. Why don't we tame our spending because we don't have much taxation? I mean, we don't have much revenue coming in. So expenditure discipline is very important. Lastly, you cannot solve a problem if you don't understand it. Please take time to understand what Kenyans are going through. Talk less, but I want to say this. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Kiamba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to such an important motion that is affecting the whole Republic and the people of Kenya, so that we can be able to substantiate facts and lies as well. Madam Speaker, I think this motion, and I really want to congratulate the Leader of Minority for bringing the attention of the government and also the side of the minority, so that we can discuss and debate on measures that we are going to take and what has brought us here as a country. Because it's also very important to take restock and also consider where we are coming from. Some of the issues that today have affected our country in such a big way is the issue of, the handshake brothers. Because the then opposition was not able to oversight the government the way it was supposed to have done, Madam Speaker. They were not doing their role as they are doing right now. And I think that's why we all agree that it is important for us to leave maandamano and streets and come to the floor of the House and prosecute and oversight the government so that they can make sure that the government is doing what it's supposed to be doing currently, Madam Speaker. the issue of debt, and I thank His Excellency the President because he spoke very well today. And he said, we cannot continue borrowing and digging holes and making sure that we're not moving our country forward. And he said one of the measures that they are going to take is that we are not going to borrow only current expenditure. And that's what has been happening in this case, Madam Speaker. He stated, because we're in the executive and you're owning up, if there are issues, the high cost of living, we are owning up, Madam Speaker. And he said the deficit that was there in 2022-2023 budget was about 800 billion. But 250 billion was also realized that was not accounted for, and it was not declared in the budget, Madam Speaker. And therefore, he has really done what he is supposed to be doing, and making sure that he's not going to borrow. And we have reduced the amount of money that we are supposed to have borrowed 2022-2023 to a tune of about 300 billion, Madam Speaker. These people can only wait. And because they realized that the trajectory that the Kenya Kwanza government is taking is to take this country to the next level, is to move from the shadows of our debts and also make sure that we are self-sustaining as a country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we can only ask the minority side to support the government, to leave the streets, to go back and start building this country in terms of making sure that we respect the businesses of other Kenyans who are trying as much as they can to rebuild our country, Madam Speaker, after serious and vigorous campaign that we had in 2022, Madam Speaker. The cost of living, we cannot run away from it. But for sure, we have seen what the government has been able to do to actually bring the cost of unga, that when we took over the government as Kenya Kwanza, was about 250. And today, if you go to our stores, Madam Speaker, you realize that the cost of unga has dropped to about 180, Madam Speaker. And therefore, that's what we call progress. And it's only 6 months, Madam Speaker. The salaries have been delayed. For sure, it is true, it has never happened. But the President said, it is better for us to live within our means. If there are going to be issues to do with planting and making sure that we subsidize the production in terms of maize production, Madam Speaker. And we have seen the President is setting an example. It is the rainy season. We need to go back again to our farms, plant maize, plant food, plant local food, so that we can be able to feed ourselves and feed our neighbors and feed our country, Madam Speaker. Therefore, the work of the opposition is to oversight the government. And we really appreciate what the minority side is doing currently, Madam Speaker. The issue of subsidies, it's something that we have stopped. The issue of dollar rate going up, and also making sure that the kind of imports that we have been importing, Madam Speaker, we have been able to deal with in terms of the exchange rates that we have been receiving from the banks. And the President has assured us today that in the next maybe 2 or so months, that the dollar is going to come down to about 115 shillings. That's what we call the plan. And it is high time the opposition to sit down. Give us time. Within the next 1 year or 2 years, this country will be a different country, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the issue of delayed payments, the issue of pending bills, I think that's what the government and the President is dealing with. And we can only tell the Kenyan.
Thank you. Your time is up. The member for Chepalungu, Honorable Victor Koech.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this particular opportunity. And I want to start by congratulating Honorable Opio Endan for bringing this particular motion to the floor of the House. I am happy because now the Honorable Member is realizing that the only place that we can discuss meaningful issues affecting the country is only through the Assembly. And Madam Speaker, if I can take the House back to 2002, one of the greatest presidents that we have ever had, the late Mwai Kibaki, in his inaugural speech, talked about recovery of the economy. And it took him almost 3 years to stabilize the country's economy. The economy, at the end of his term, the economy had recovered to a record of 7.1, and our school-going children were going to school for free. That is the primary section. Our current president, William Samoei Ruto, in his inaugural speech 2022, talked of the measures he's taking to recover the economy. And one president said, if you want to set the country free, speak the truth. What the president is speaking about is merely the truth, because in his agenda, he wants to recover the economy of the country. In his agenda, he wants to bring back the decency that the country had before the handshake regime. And to that effect, Madam Speaker, the president said in his speech that the country is now going to shift from the subsidy policy of subsidizing consumption and now going into the policy of subsidizing the production. By so doing, in the next 18 months, in his projection, the country will have recovered fully. We are in support of the same, though we are in agreement, by so speaking the truth, that what the country is going through as at the moment economically is not so good. Madam Speaker, I want to end there and to save some minutes for the other members of Parliament. Thank you.
Member for Baringo North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to thank my good friend Upio Andai for coming up with this particular discussion. Madam Speaker, if truly, truly, truly we want to be Kenyans, then we should need to discuss this matter as members of Parliament who belong to the people of Kenya and who do not belong to political factions. Because when the economy of this country has a problem, then it is all Kenyans, regardless of all walks of life, will suffer. Hunger, living without food, insecurity, lack of infrastructure, lack of medicine does not favor Kenya Kwanza or Azimio coalition or any other coalition. It affects the people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, this regime is just 6 months. Madam Speaker, William Ruto has never become the president of Kenya before. This is an opportunity that he has to show his plan for the people of Kenya, which is sold and it was bought. This plan was bought by people of Kenya. And it is only fair if he is given time to implement this particular plan for the success of this country. Madam Speaker, remember, when Kibaki took over, this country was down. In fact, I remember that those days budget was about 280 billion. But Kibaki, through to Libo Ushuru, to Chitekeme, actually brought up the country after, when many people were thinking Kibaki was a passing cloud, after about 1 year, he turned around the economy of this country to become a prosperous nation. And he was fought terribly. But Kibaki was financing the budget of Kenya 95% through its own revenue sources. Madam Speaker, I believe Dr. William Samoei Ruto, given a chance, will also do what Kibaki did for Kenya. Madam Speaker, where we are today as Kenyans, and I want to be very honest to my thinking and to Kenyans. We are here today because of too much appetite for borrowing. And it did not only start from when William Ruto fell out with Uhuru Kenyatta. It also started a long time ago, this appetite for borrowing. But it was escalated so much during the handshake period. Madam Speaker, there is also something that we as members of Parliament are forgetting, that we allowed too much Chinese in this country, who were bringing so much goods to an extent that we raise our revenue sources, we get revenue for this country, and then spend in paying Chinese who do not bang in this country, and they take the resources of Kenya and the revenue of Kenyans outside this country. Madam Speaker, there is also too much appetite for corruption and deals in government by government officials. Madam Speaker, because of time, there is need to put up programs, even in these programs for irrigation. Madam Speaker, in a dam of 20 billion, 10 billion calls for compensation of exorbitant piece of lands. And only 5 billion calls for the real construction of dams. Madam Speaker, we need to use the waters of Lake Victoria, the waters of Lake Baringo, the waters of Naivasha, where you come from, to act to Mau Summit to change Kenya through food production and food security. That is what will change Kenya. Madam Speaker, not Mandamano. Madam Speaker, there is need to provide subsidy for the farmers in the Rift Valley. Nobody is talking about them today. We need to boost the agricultural production. That is what will change Kenya. Industrialization, promoting the growth of industries in Kenya is what will change Kenya. Not Mandamano, not also too much talk from our side, Kenya Kwanza. We must stop the talk and walk the talk by delivering for the people of Kenya. Madam Speaker, this is the time of reason. This is not a time of debate of who wins who. It is the debate of Kenyans win as a people of Kenya. This is what will address the issue of
Order, members. The time being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 12th April 2023 at 9:30 a.m.